Welcome to Type Tune Tint. I'm Tom Kranz.
You will not live free. You will not. We promised God that we would endure the test of time. We promised him.
A man betrayed.
We would endure the test of time.
Rage from the darkest places. Where does rage like that come from?
It took me way out of my comfort zone.
I'll ask the actor, Joe Sernio. Joe is having quite a year with a breakthrough role in the film short Loved, to a new movie coming out soon, and a TV pilot about to start shooting. He's been featured in magazines for his success as an entrepreneur. Now acting success is following closely behind. Today we meet Joe Sernio, coming soon to a screen near you. And welcome to this episode of Type Tune Tint, folks. And I'm joined by Joe Sernio, an acquaintance of mine from another life. And now we're together in this life. And Joe joins me from his palatial estate in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Joe, how you doing, man?
I'm great, Tom. How are you?
Good. You are great. You've had, I just was talking before we started rolling here. I think Joe has probably had the year of his life. He's had a movie short released that's gotten universal kudos and 40 plus awards, including Best Actor. He's got another movie coming out, a full-length feature in later this summer. He's working on a TV pilot. There's all this stuff happening. And just to think, it was just a decade ago, Joe, you and I sat together at a conference room table at Chelsea Senior Living, where I was director of communications, and we hired your company to do our website and our SEO.
Yep. Yeah.
So are you still with Shoreline? Is that still part of your life?
That's still my bread and butter. I'm kind of not in the spotlight here at Shoreline as much as I was. We have a pretty solid team, so it kind of allows me to do all those cool things that you had mentioned there.
So you have it kind of qualifies as an Uber day job, I guess, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So just briefly, we back in that other life, I talked about Joe's company, Shoreline Media. They at the time did website development and SEO and social media and all this stuff that, as a company that really wasn't, we know how to, there's a difference between posting things and knowing how that all works under the hood. And Joe and his company knows how all that stuff worked under the hood. And they did great work for us. The theme of this podcast is kind of creativity, people who are creative in various different ways. Talk to some musicians, artists. You're my first actor, but I did have a comedian. So had another kind of performer, and basically where that creativity came from and how you balance your work life with your creative life, because everybody has to figure out a way to do that. So tell us, first of all, give us just a thumbnail sketch of where you're from and how you started out. You're from Jersey. Let's start there.
Yep. I was born and raised in Jersey City, moved to Howell, New Jersey. And I think it was like 92. And graduated Howell High School. Never really got into any of the theater or FPAC or anything like that during high school. I kind of jumped into it right after high school, but I'm still situated in good old Asbury Park, New Jersey.
And your business is based in Asbury Park too, correct? Didn't you guys?
Correct. Yeah, we have our main offices are in Asbury Park. We a couple of years ago we took over the entire building here, so now we have 2 floors. Main offices up top. Downstairs we have training where Google comes in and whatnot.
So you're like Jersey through and through. So you said that the whole acting thing didn't hit you, I guess, until after high school. Did you wake up one day and say, I want to do that? Or did it always, even as a kid, did you like play in front of the mirror? Or when did that start and how did you land there?
I was always a movie buff, always. My dad used to take me to back in, I guess around high school, there was a movie theater over in Lakewood, which is right next to Howell. It was like, we called it the $2 movie theater. And then in the papers on Sunday, he used to cut out the tickets where you get $1 off the $2 movie theater. So we basically went to the theater for $1. Always in the movies, renting movies. It was when I saw a close friend of mine after high school, two actually. One started working on The Sopranos when that started getting really big. I saw him and started watching him in there.
Would that by any chance be Kevin Interdonato?
Kevin Interdonato, that's it.
So he's essentially more or less a high school friend of yours?
Yep. We were very, very close in high school, and we remain very, very close. We actually produce a lot of projects together. So he's a producing partner as well now. But it was when I saw him on the role of The Sopranos. He played the role of Dogsy, and I saw him and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I've always wanted to do it. I was interested in it. And then I saw somebody else from high school. I think he was at the time on the cover of TV Guide for one of the soap operas. And after seeing it, it was like, well, this is pretty cool. I started talking to Kevin about it, and I just kind of started getting into it little by little. And then, my early 20s, 20, 21, 22, I started going to a lot of acting classes, meeting a lot of people in New York, and kind of taking it from there.
Well, and I had just happened to have your resume in front of me here. Of course, at the time when we were working together, when we were doing the Chelsea thing, I had absolutely no idea that this was part of your life. And I only got clues when I saw an occasional post of a photograph at a film festival or this. And then after I left, of course, things kind of took off. But I see here that you worked on 2 daytime dramas. You worked on All My Children and As the World Turns. You had some significant stints there, right?
As the World Turns was my first. I did a lot of background for about a year. And while I was on that show, it was all just basic background type work. But while I was on that show, a friend of mine was like, hey, I just auditioned for All My Children and blah, 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 blah. I can get you in, or whatever the case is. And then back then, I was 20, 21 at the time. I'll be 43 now. But back then was those days where you had a headshot and resume, and you just walked into the casting office, just dropped them down on the desk, and that was it. So I had found out who to speak to or who to give my info to. And it was a gentleman by the name of Bob Lambert, who I auditioned for 2 or 3 times until I actually finally stopped working on As the World Turns and went over to All My Children, starting with more background and whatnot, and then eventually leading up to Under 5 and then Principal and whatever else. So I wound up staying on that show for probably close to maybe 30 plus episodes.
So All My Children would have been your first, I guess, for lack of a better term, real role, like a real kind of semi-starring or lead role. Where
it wasn't
lines and you had an actual part in the story.
Correct. Yeah, it was. Played an orderly on the show, and for anyone that knows Vincent Irizarry, another friend of mine, who's a phenomenal actor. A lot of my stuff was in Pine Valley Hospital with Vincent. So yeah, it was my first kind of role, first kind of speaking, and then from there I just met a lot of people that helped me out, but started auditioning a lot more for other type stuff, and then basically, as the daytime was doing really, really well, and I was getting a lot of gigs, that's when I got really, really, really into indie film. You've
got tons of photographs and headshots. I will say that the camera likes you, Joe. That's what we used to say in TV. It's like, I don't think there's a bad photograph of you that exists. I haven't seen every photograph of you, and you might dispute that, but
maybe the last film.
You're a good-looking guy, and you've in the last couple of years you made a couple of big magazine covers. I guess it was LA Weekly, right? And at least one other was it Swagger magazine? They did stories about you, not necessarily as a film person, although I guess Swagger will, but they talked about you as an entrepreneur, as like a successful independent business guy, and how.
Just going back to what you had mentioned, it's like you put your mind to it, you really, really, really focus. And when I first started Shoreline, it was because I wasn't making a ton of money. The soap operas at the time had, they came and they left. I had a couple other gigs here and there, but really wasn't putting my mind to it like I should have been. And after a while, obviously, if you don't start working, people do forget about you. And I did a couple magazine covers here and there, and then slowly got into building websites and whatnot. And I saw the potential that it had, and I just kind of built it up from there.
Were you interested in that why did you pick that particular business to go into?
I was. I
had interest in that subject matter.
I actually graduated. I wound up getting 2 degrees at the Chubb Institute when I was younger. So I've always been into the networking type, computer type stuff.
Gotcha.
Website stuff was brand new at the time. It was up and coming, So when Front Page was out there and whatnot, when you used to build websites with Front Page.
Oh my.
Yeah, right. So it was it's kind of how I got into it, and knowing the potential that it had, I just kind of ran with it. So for the first, we've been here 14 years now, Shoreline. But let's just say for the first 10, I'm sitting there working seven days a week and powering through it, and like I said, you put your mind to it and you keep working, you build it up. And now
how big is the company now? Like, how many employees do you have? And you have a lot of clients?
Yeah, we have the client base is a big client base. We have probably about 12 employees here right now.
Okay.
We have clients from Jersey, New York, West Coast, Australia, New Zealand. We have quite a few, and we concentrate in all types of industries: home services, healthcare, pest control.
Sure.
So yeah, it works well.
Great. All right, let's talk about Loved. Okay, so this is it's like a 13-minute, I guess, right? 14-minute film short that currently has been making the rounds at film festivals around the world. Is it still doing that? Are they still showing them? That's going to happen for the rest of the year, pretty much, you think?
Yeah, we're in festivals throughout, like going into 2024. Okay. Yeah, which is the kind of way that we marketed it. We did it that way on purpose.
So you did that. So do you see this film ever making any kind of release to the general world so that, like, real people can actually see it?
I think so. So long story kind of short was I had just did a feature, because I only started really getting back into the acting stuff a few years ago, but I just got off a feature, modern day gangster film. Loved it. It was great. It was with Kevin Donato. We produced it. It was his feature. He directed it. He wrote it, and phenomenal movie. Myself, Frankie Edgar, Roger Matthews, Malik Whitfield. There's a ton of guys in it. It was a great project, and
that's the Bastard Sons, right?
Yep, the Bastard Sons.
We'll get more into that a little bit later, but keep going. Sorry.
No, that's right. And when we got when that ended, it was as great as it was. I still wanted to do something different, because I was getting that typecast as like just your everyday average Joe, which is totally fine. So I had seen a friend of mine who was on Ozark perform an absolutely amazing scene. I got in touch with another friend of mine. I said, "Hey, do you think you can write a monologue for me?" And that's where basically love came from. So it started as a monologue based off something I saw on television, and then as we got into it, I said, "Man, we can really make this something big." And I said, "This could be something for me, like a breakout type role, which is what I want to do. I want to do this type of stuff. Plus, I've never studied method acting before, and I always wanted to kind of give it a shot, give it a go." And that's basically what we did. We filmed it kind of two ways. We did want to submit it to the festivals. We wanted to see what we could do, because we went all out as far as production value and cinematography and acting and whatever else. But we filmed it technically as a pilot. And then what you saw is the short version. That way we can get it into festivals and see what it could do. Little did we know that it was gonna bring us all over the world now. But
yeah, so if you go on the Facebook page and look it up, you'll see that it's been at least, I lost count, 50 or so festivals. You've won Best Actor, Best Cinematography, Best Short Film, Best Thriller, and we're going to show a clip in just a minute here. So it's called Loved, not to be confused with the 1997 film Loved, which is the first thing that came up when I Googled it. Really pissed me off, actually. But no, this is a film that it's not available to the general public yet, but I'm going to show you folks a good chunk of the trailer here. It's a really simple story. It's about a working guy named Harold who basically finds out his wife's having an affair, and this launches a rage in him that basically it injects attention into this 13-minute film that builds and builds and builds to a climax. No spoilers here. I'll just say that the guy you're looking at right now is the same guy you're about to see in these clips. So folks, without further ado, here's a clip or two from the short film Loved.
I will kill you! Get down! Get out!
Stop! He didn't do anything!
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Tell me! What did he have that I didn't? Promise this! We will endure the test of time! Carry me home, see my kin. My kin, baby, my kin. Our kin. Our kin.
I got to tell you, when I saw that, it was like I had to just remember where I was with you a few years ago. Yeah, that's the same guy. How do you possibly get, tuned up to do that?
That was part of what I love so much about this project, is because it took me way out of my comfort zone. And for years, there were multiple people telling me, even acting coaches, was like, you have it, you just got to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, you're the guy right now. You're the guy sitting across from me at that table. You're speaking in a normal voice. You're an average, you're a nice young man. And there you are. There's this crazed guy. So did you have to teach yourself that? Did you do 1 million takes, or how did that work?
It was definitely, it was a lot of takes, but as far as the character development goes, it was a lot of method type acting, which I've never done before. Studied Meisner before. It was okay. I did use a lot of what I learned. Bob McAndrew was the coach. Did take a lot of what I learned from him, but then from there, I legit went out into the desert alone by myself and just did what I had to do to get into it. And we got it done. It was several takes. I think the first day was right around 17 and a half hours total shoot that we shot.
And where was it filmed? Did I see Joshua Park? Is that where you filmed that?
We filmed the entire project in Joshua Tree. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And
29 Palms, Joshua Tree.
So the entire 14, it's such a compact little package because every single shot is a winner, right? And every single, and the way you kind of promoted it as a way of promoting yourselves for horsepower, which we'll talk about in a minute, it's kind of an example of everything that goes into a production and everything that has to go in: the organization, the cinematography, the editing is phenomenal. Obviously the acting is outstanding. Even the two actors who played your wife and her lover, they were great.
Well, yeah.
It was short and sweet, but they, the woman whose name escapes me, what's the actress's
Debbie Gerber.
Yeah, I mean, I bought her totally as being scared shitless, and afraid to die.
Yeah.
So I can see where that's like almost like a little clinic on filmmaking. Speaking of filmmaking, you've got, as we mentioned, another project coming out this summer, and you're about to launch into a TV pilot. And we will talk more about that in just a moment after I do some shameless self-promotion. More in a minute with Joe Sernio, folks. Stay there.
It's time to grab your beach reading. Your great escape is waiting at TomCranceBooks.com. Contemporary fiction in the Bud and Maggie series, sci-fi adventure in the Earth Moon Rescue series. Visit TomCranceBooks.com for detailed descriptions and links to the ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook editions. That's TomCranceBooks.com. You deserve a great escape.
And we're back, folks, with Joe Sernio from Asbury Park. And we spent some time talking about Loved, and I showed you some clips. I didn't realize that you had actually done The Bastard Sons before Loved. So you did that movie first. And that's a movie that's actually finished, and it's coming out later in the summer of, we believe, the summer of 2023. And the one-line summary I have out of it's essentially a mob movie, kind of a mob-ish movie about an underworld family who's out to get somebody. Make me correct.
Yeah, modern day gangster film is basically what it is. We had a couple good reviews. Modern day gangster film Jersey's been waiting for, and so we wanted to go like the old school route, like the old school gangster type films, just modern day type. But yeah, it's this little crew of guys basically that go and take down one of the bosses.
Here you are in prime mob regalia, and here's a little clip of Joe. What's the name of your character in the movie?
In Bastard Sons, my character is Dobson.
All right, here's Joe Sernio as Dobson.
Us not having revenue, it's just not an option. Us going on like we have been, it's not an option either. Mm-hmm. Being that we're loyal to our connects upstate, we just never did it. Now the product's getting hot, and they're in desperate need for someone to push it.
People, look, such a nice boy. Can you believe they're the same two guys here? So that must have been fun to do. And I guess doing a whole movie is very different than doing a short, obviously more of everything. And what was it like working with, a kid you knew since high school and doing like your first full-length film?
Oh, it's great. Him and I together, we work very, very well together. We did a couple features back in the day together. But this was a lot more fun because it was more personal. We had helped. I had to help produce it as he was writing. Him and I were going back and forth. But for him, for what he took on to create this entire feature was great. Phenomenal job by Kev, and it made it really easy.
So this was his brainchild. Did he write it and he did everything?
Yeah, he directed it, and the way he wrote it was, basically we all got on set and it was don't act, just be yourselves. He wrote these characters based on myself and Frankie and Roger and everybody else.
He knew you guys and he wrote them for you essentially.
Yep. So it was very natural. It worked really, really well. And it played into the storyline really, really well. And from what we saw it a couple of times with special screenings and whatnot. And so I think people are going to enjoy it. It's a cool movie.
Do you know yet where we will see this film?
Not yet. It's going to be on one of the major platforms. We're not sure yet.
Okay.
And we're trying to, with everything going on right now with the unions and whatnot, we're hoping that we get it out either end of this month or next month.
Another exciting project. You've got a TV pilot. So the pilot is called Horsepower. There's no video yet because you haven't actually filmed anything yet, but you have a cast and you play some guy running for governor, I guess, did I see?
Yes,
he is governor. I'm not sure. Tell us a little bit about what Horsepower is.
So Loved started as a pilot, and we filmed an ending so that way we can create it as a short and submit it to festivals. This has always been a full pilot, which we're going to push as a pilot, not a short film. But it was just an idea. I love Westerns, absolutely love them. We didn't really want to get into the pre-production and craziness of an actual, dated type piece in the 1800s type Western. So we went modern day. So the writer friend of mine who also wrote Love, DJ Higgins, he came in and him and I started planning and organizing. He wound up going in, writing this pilot script, about basically a very powerful politician who's running for governor, gets into a little accident, tries to hide that little accident, and a few months later, that past kind of catches up to him. But he's given an ultimatum on basically, keeping things quiet or spending the rest of his life in jail, basically.
Right.
So,
your website describes this as a cross between Yellowstone, Natural Born Killers, and Banshee. So you guys have once again gone for the grit, right? It doesn't sound like a gentle love story. It looks like
we're for real family-like pilot.
I love that. And so a pilot, just, clear us up on this. This is like essentially a proposed television series. That's what a pilot is, correct?
Correct. We shoot the pilot. We have a pitch deck, and we have up to about 6 episodes written. Even characters that a network or something may want to see rather than seeing no names or whatever. But yeah, with the pitch deck, we submit the pilot, and then we have everything written to the point where, like, hey, here's what we want to see happen in this season, and then we pitch it to whoever we may think.
You hope that somebody will come along and then produce this series and pay you shitloads of money.
Pick it up, or continue to allow us to produce it and create it, which is obviously what we would love to do. But we got some names in this one. It stars myself, Erin O'Brien, Peter Dobson, Robert Davi, who I'm sure you know, Malik Whitfield, Gary Cairns, a few other guys, but there's some familiar
faces we'll recognize when we see.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so what's kind of the timetable? So are you going to start shooting this in the summer of 2023 or later? Or
I actually just got back. I've been doing a lot of training for horseback riding and whatnot.
Oh my!
Yeah, we're doing that, and we're shooting starts August 8th, and
so. So then the process is, you think it takes the rest of the year to finish it pretty much, or not?
We'll probably have it edited or start to edit right after we start shooting. And let's just give or take, maybe a month or 2 months to kind of get everything where we need to get it, and then start, pitching it where we want to pitch it.
Do you have an end game here that sees you as doing acting as your full-time life and leaving kind of the other part of your life? Maybe you're a stakeholder in Shoreline, but maybe somebody else takes it over while you start, collect your Oscars.
It's always been that. That's always been the kind of goal. I just saw the potential in what we could create here, and not making any money with the acting when I was younger. It's just like, all right, what am I going to do? So that's where Shoreline came in. By me doing this, it's allowing me to produce my own projects, because
Sure.
Loved and Horsepower, I'm producing and executive producing. Once Horsepower is done, I'm going to do a very big push to see where we can get it, who wants to create it, who wants to pick it up. But focus more on the acting when I'm done with this. But it was also kind of like my coming back type role too, with Love and Horsepower. So,
and by executive producing, is that the same as you're financing it?
Correct.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yep,
So you have a real stake in this, right? A financial stake in this as well.
Oh yeah, this one's much. I mean, not that Loved was small by any means. I mean, we all went to Joshua Tree, and we had a Troy Ruff from Fresno. He's the studio that kind of Film Giant Pictures came out from Fresno to Joshua Tree, using the same crew on Horsepower. But this time we're traveling to this little area in Colorado called Cortez, which no airport, no anything. So there's a little community airport that's there and whatnot. So a lot of us are driving, some flying, but we're shooting on an absolutely gorgeous working ranch called Canyon of the Ancients.
Wow.
Guest ranch, and it sits on 2,000 acres of ancient ruins, which makes the backdrop even better than what I had.
Yeah, great scenery.
Yeah, very, very cool. So we start filming August 8th on that.
Oh, good for you. I just hope that it's not as hot then as it is now in that part of the country, because it has sucked.
It was 111 last week.
Yeah. Yikes. I know. Take a lot of water and tents and stuff, right? And some fans.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing both The Bastard Sons later this summer, and maybe sometime next year or late this year, Horsepower, if that's the name that it keeps. We will assume that it is. Joe, I really appreciate you taking the time. I wish you all the best and continued success, and we'll check in with you again when you reach the top or near the top.
Absolutely, Tom. Thank you. Pleasure seeing you again, man.
Hi, folks. Tom Krantz here. I appreciate you tuning in to my podcast, Type Tune Tint, and I especially appreciate those of you who have subscribed. I started this subscriber thing in July of 2024, really just as a way of recouping a little bit of the costs of doing this podcast. There's website hosting, and there's WordPress additions, and occasionally I buy a book so that I can actually know what I'm talking about when I interview an author. You can subscribe to this podcast for as little as $3 a month. Comes off your credit card automatically, and for $3 a month, you get the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping keep this podcast going. I'm in my 5th year now, but also I will occasionally offer exclusive content just for subscribers. So give it a shot. I appreciate you taking the plunge. You can unsubscribe anytime you want. If you have any questions or comments, of course, you know how to get in touch. So please subscribe, and I appreciate it. Thanks.